It is time for Super Bowl Sunday. We are going to break down the big game today between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles next on the Jack Hammer Show. Hey everybody, it is time for Super Bowl Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Arizona. It's going to be a fantastic game. Want to get into the preview of that, keys that I see as far as who is going to win, how they're going to get it done. So we'll be covering all that. We'll also talk a little bit about 49ers because there is some 49ers news that's broke this morning that we'll discuss as well. And we'll get into all that here. I'm Jack Hammer of the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Hope you all are doing great today. Just want to shout out over in the comment section. We have Lucas Pesci. He is a member of the Toolbox. That's why he has a little dollar sign next to his name. Lucas, a great follower here. Actually comes to us all the way from Austria. Probably getting ready to watch the game with everybody else. And it's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about this matchup. But before I get into that one, let's take a look really quick at some of the news that broke today with the 49ers. It had been rumored for a while that DeMeco Ryans was going to be bringing Bobby Slowick over from San Francisco as his offensive coordinator. That became that news was broke today that it will be happening. Bobby Slowick has worked with the 49ers over for the last 6 years since Kyle Shanahan took over. He was promoted to the passing game coordinator a couple years ago. He will be missed. He's a solid coach. That's why he's going to become that offensive corner out there. As far as the impact that will have on the 49ers, I would say that's probably going to be minimal. That's one of the beauties of what the 49ers have is their offense is geared around the head coach. So if it's as long as Kyle Shanahan is in place, this offense is going to be able to function at a pretty high level. He's going to be able to bring in the guys that and teach up those coaches for the things that he wants. I don't foresee it being a big problem. You know, there was talks last year around this time when Mike McDaniel became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins that it could cause some issues with the 49ers. That didn't happen. The slow start this year wasn't much different than it was in previous years. And in a lot of ways, the slow starts for the last couple of years has to do around quarterback play. If the quarterbacks play better and don't turn the ball over, the 49ers are going to be a better team for it. And that's really the difference between the team in 2019 that played so well. They had decent quarterback play through that first half of the season early on. They haven't really received that in the last 2 years in those early games. That's the difference there. So Bobby Slowick going to the Houston Texans to join DeMeco Ryans' staff out there. So don't think it's a major loss for the 49ers. It's a loss, but it's not going to create a major impact. As long as Kyle Shanahan is there, they'll be fine. Lucas asks if I'll be doing a call-in show this week. I think that sounds about right. I think it's time now. We're into the off season. Call-in shows would be good on the channel here. We'll get into a call-in show, let you guys ask some questions. And that's one of the fun parts about this off season time period is you guys can ask what I think will happen and we can go through that. So I think we should be doing a call-in show this week, put that together. Now, as far as this game, keys to victory for Kansas City, keys to victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think there's when you look at this game, it's a tremendous matchup. Like I said, for Kansas City, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be the result of them being able to stop the running game for the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at this matchup, and I think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball on the Eagles. We know the Eagles pass rush. We know how good that is. The way that I see this game playing out, if Kansas City is going to be successful, if Kansas City is going to win this game and be successful on offense, what they will be doing is it will be a lot of short, quick passes early on in the game, kind of mixing in the run. They don't run the ball a ton. They're not as run heavy as, say, the 49ers, but I think they have that ability to hit those short underneath throws. Patrick Mahomes, very accurate, very solid in that area. They have a pretty good head coach over there, Andy Reid, who's won the Super Bowl in the past. So I think if the Chiefs come into this game, work those underneath routes, just work their way down the field. To say like the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half, you're just kind of taking your time, biding your time, working it down the field, showing that you can be patient, and then that opens up the shot play for Patrick Mahomes to eventually take a shot. I think if you're watching this game and you see Patrick Mahomes getting a big completion deep down the field on the Eagles, that is something that's going to come up as the game plays on. I don't see that happening right off the bat. I think it's going to be a little bit further into the game. I also don't expect to see the Kansas City Chiefs blocking Hassan Reddick with their backup tight end either. That's just I don't foresee that. I was watching a little bit of the pregame show earlier. Howie Long bringing that up during the pregame show today. If I recall, I didn't watch the game live. Obviously, I was in Philadelphia, so I didn't see the TV broadcast originally. But Howie Long was not a big proponent of that during at the time that it happened a couple weeks ago with the backup tight end there blocking Reddick. So we'll see how it works out. But I think for the Chiefs offense to be successful here, they're going to have to be patient, take those underneath throws, work it down the field, let Mahomes do his thing, but those underneath short to medium routes, work your way down the field, get some points on the board, and then as the flow starts to roll, that's when you see them take those shots down the field. As far as on the other side, on the defensive side, it's all about their ability to stop the running game of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs' defense is pretty good. But their issue is, if there's a weakness on this team, you would have to say it is their run defense. The Chiefs aren't as strong on the ground against stopping the run, but if they can force Philadelphia to have to throw the ball to beat them, if they can put Jalen Hurts in those third and passing situations or second and long passing situations, I think that's where you see the Chiefs get the advantage here. You look back to the game against the 49ers in Philadelphia. You see the 49ers pass rush getting pressure on Hurts often. You see Hurts having to move around. He's not able to really set his feet and just throw, so he's having to scramble around, not being accurate. You could see him in that game with all that movement he's having to do with that pressure all around him. You could see Hurts struggling in the passing game. You could see a lack of consistency there. And I think when you look at this Chiefs defense is a better pass rushing defense than the 49ers. They're not as good against the run, but they're better against the pass in terms of getting after the quarterback. They're going to hit the quarterback more often. They're going to get into the backfield and harass Hurts. So if they can force him into situations where he has to beat them with his arm, then I think that's where the Chiefs can take advantage. They need to stop the run. They need to put this game on the right shoulder of Jalen Hurts if they are going to win today. So it's pretty straightforward. This is, like I said, this is a matchup, I think, between two teams that are two of the most talented teams. I think you look at the four teams that were in the championship games, and those four teams were the most talented teams in the league. It's just a shame for the 49ers case that they didn't have a starting quarterback or a quarterback who could even get the team out of the huddle consistently. Not saying that they would have won that game. I just think it would have made for a much more enjoyable game to watch. It would have been made for a really tough contest, I think. So we'll see how it works out for the Chiefs here, though. Really quick, I have a super chat want to hit up. Blind Tom says, "Hey Jack, beautiful day in the neighborhood. KC 3817." Hey, Blind Tom, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. It is a beautiful day. It's sunny and it's gorgeous out here. Almost time I should have my shorts on out here today. I wish I was out in Arizona covering the game, but this is as close to the next best thing right here. And as far as your prediction, 38-17, I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout, but you look at this team, Kansas City, and their offense and their firepower, they might be able to. I just don't see them being able to put up explosive plays to get to that number. The only way that you get to 38 is if you're getting big plays like explosives on offense, or you're getting turnovers deep into opponent's territory, which allow for quick turnaround points. So that's one reason why I don't think they're going to get to 38. I think probably more in the neighborhood of 27 to 23 points for Kansas City would sound more about right on the high end. So we'll see, but that's a good one. And I really appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much for reaching out. You're a really good follower, and I appreciate everything you do. Also, really quick, let's take a look at the keys for Philadelphia. You look at the Eagles in this game, and it's the opposite of what we just talked about, right? They want to run the ball. They need to run the ball here to be successful. And that's the part of the beauty in watching the Philadelphia Eagles, being out in Philadelphia, watching that game between the 49ers and watching it afterwards, back again. When you look at it, it is one of those situations where I think this Philadelphia Eagles offense is a lot of fun. They don't do a lot. Like, they're not aesthetically pleasing in that the ball's not flying all over the field. It's not a run and shoot kind of thing. It is very basic in what they do. And that matches what their head coach is, Nick Sirianni. He said that during his introductory press conference. We are going to be basic in what we do. We are going to play fast. We're going to allow our players not to have to really think and just go. And we're going to make things really simple. And that's what they do on offense and on defense. This running game, nothing out of the ordinary about it, but they just have some big old, offensive linemen who do a really good job of opening up holes for the running backs. And they really get after you in that running game. And then you have Jalen Hurts behind that with his ability on the read option to really create some issues for defenses if they're not strategic, if they're not schematically sound. If you have players on the defensive side who aren't doing their job and they try to help others out, you are going to see a defense that struggles. And I think for the Eagles today, they need to get that ground game going. They need to be able to run the ball well. If they can run it well, then what happens is you're able to get the stuff off of that, which is the Jalen Hurts play action throws. That's where he's at his best. Is those downfield throws after play action where you kind of suck up the defense a little bit. He's really good underneath as well. It's an interesting when you watch them. There's not a lot in the mid range. It's mostly, it seems like the 5 yards and in kind of stuff, and then it's the deep shots. A lot of screens and those types of plays around the line of scrimmage, followed by deep shots. So for the Eagles, get that ground game going. Get this thing off of the right shoulder of Jalen Hurts. Miles Sanders has to have a big game for you today. Even Jalen Hurts on the ground. If you can, that's where I disagree with the comment from Robbie Gould, is that he says, you need to make him play quarterback. Well, quarterback for the Eagles is different, right? Jalen Hurts in their running game is still playing quarterback when he's running the zone read, because he's reading somebody on the defense, deciding if he's going to keep it, deciding if he's going to give it, all those types of things. And so that's why, my take here is that you got to put his foot on his right arm as a thrower, but he's a solid quarterback. That's why he was right there in the MVP race. So I think for the Eagles, you need to do that. And on defensive side, you've got to get to Patrick Mahomes. That's same thing we've seen teams talk about before. Go back to the last Super Bowl that the Chiefs were in 2 years ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was a game in which it was close early on. The Buccaneers weren't really doing a whole lot offensively. It wasn't like the Buccaneers were moving the ball up and down the field on the Eagles, on the Chiefs. But the Chiefs offense couldn't get going. That was the game where Mahomes had pressure all day long, had to scramble. He was running around for his life, making some just crazy throws on the run. His receivers weren't making the catches. So you look at this game today, he's going to have pressure. You got to get that pressure on Mahomes. You've got to be able to take it at him and really force him to move around. And when he moves, you need to be able to stick on your guy and not let him get free. So it's going to be tough for the Eagles here. I look at both these teams, and I think these guys are both fantastic. But really, if I wanted to, you can easily build a case for either of these teams. It's not like some of the other games that we've seen through the playoffs. This is one of those really evenly matched games. That the biggest difference is twofold. One, the Chiefs' inability to stop the ground game. We've seen teams have some success there. So I think that's where the big plus is today for the Eagles. And they need to get after Patrick Mahomes. And then, so as far as who I think is going to win, let me give you a little key. So when you when I put together my predictions for the 49ers this year, I came out with a record of 13-4. So I hit the record. Didn't hit it on necessarily every game, but I felt like they were going to be 13-4, and that's where they ended up. And then I was 3-4, I think it was, when I did the divisional round matchups. The only one I lost here was the Eagles game against the Giants, and that was a mistake on my part because I should have followed my normal method, which is really simple. Which team has the better quarterback? And that's your starting point. You look at these two quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. It's clear. Patrick Mahomes is the better of these two quarterbacks. So the edge right there goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you look over at the defensive side of the ball. Which is the defense for the other team enough to sway you in the other direction? And I say the answer to that is no. I think that the Eagles' defense is terrific. But in this matchup against the Chiefs, I see a Chiefs team that has a better offensive line than that one that lost a couple of years ago to Tampa Bay. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to get the ball out quick. I think that Andy Reid is a very good play caller, and he's going to have this offense of the Chiefs in position to make plays early and throughout the game. I think you're going to see both teams move the ball up and down the field. I think it's going to be a really fast game. I think that's the other thing here is the time I think in this game is going to go very quick. You have both for Philadelphia with the way that their offense moves the ball. If they are moving the ball, the clock is just going to spin because they're running the ball. It's not going out of bounds. There's not a lot of incompletions and those types of things. Their offense has a tendency to really make that clock spin. And I think you'd see the same thing with today. If the Chiefs are going to be successful, it's going to be a lot of underneath throws, quick, boom, easy throws. Mahomes is going to have a high completion percentage, I think, in this game today. So when I go to break it down, I give you my prediction. I think the answer to today's game is going to be the Chiefs are going to beat the Eagles today by a score of 27-23. I think that's your final score. You look at this one. There haven't been very many blowouts in Patrick Mahomes' career in games that he's lost. I think the number that I saw earlier today was of his losses, only 3 have been by more than 8 points. So even if the Eagles are able to pull this game out, it's going to be a close game through the end. So again, Jack Hammer coming in here with his prediction for the Super Bowl, and I'm going to say that it's going to be Chiefs 27, Eagles 23. Close game, comes down to the end, but Patrick Mahomes just too much for the Eagles. Patrick Mahomes is able to outduel that great defensive front of the Eagles, stress that secondary a little bit, and that's going to be the difference in this game. They're going to shut down the run. Will the Chiefs, excuse me. And by shutting down that run, they're going to force Jalen Hurts to beat them. Hurts will not be able to get it done. Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Should be a fun game. And that's the thing. This could be a terrific contest, I think. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the game. We got about another hour and a half before kickoff. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Come back here. Make sure that you're checking out the Jack Hammer channel throughout the off season. We're just getting into it now with the off season revving up. We have the game today, and then there is about exactly 1 month from today, you'll see the kickoff of free agency. So from here, we go into free agency and lots of discussions there. So that's where, I mentioned earlier, we had Lucas Pesci asked if there was going to be a call-in show this week. I think we should be doing that here on the channel. We'll do a call-in show, let you guys ask them your questions on players. I'll give you my thoughts on who potential possibilities are. So we'll be doing that. And then also in addition, get yourselves over to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. That is the Inside the 49ers blog for the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Check that out as well. You'll see all of my writing over there, and I'll be giving you my thoughts as far as the 49ers offseason goes as we go through it. This week, talked about George Kittle's comments, how he said that Brock Purdy is the guy. If he's healthy, he's the guy that should be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Talked a little bit about a bunch of different topics around that. We also did the possible restructure contracts that the 49ers can go out. There's 5 guys that I think are potential top line free guys on the 49ers that you could redo their contracts and save some cap money. Trent Williams being one of them, especially if they pick up his his option. If they pick up his option, Trent Williams is tied into the Flyers through 2026, and he has some cap hits in the very high 20s, low 30s that I think they'd want to move around. George Kittle, Fred Warner are two others. Eric Armstead as well. Eric Armstead and George Kittle were both restructured last year, but they could still have a restructure happen this year again. And then also Christian McCaffrey. I think he's the biggest bang for the buck. Christian McCaffrey has he has a $12 million cap, $12 million cap hit, I think it is. And of that $12 million, they can get right around $10 million of cap space, depending on how they work his deal. So those are some of the articles that were put up at the Inside the Flyers blog over at flyers.pressdemocrat.com. So check it out. Keep it locked in here to the Jack Hammer channel for all breaking news when it comes to 49ers related this offseason. If you guys can do this for me before you leave, hit that like button. The like button is the key to YouTube channels to help get our signal out to more viewers. And then once you hit that like button, if you're checking this out and you're already subscribed, hit the subscribe button as well. When you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of the content that we bring to you throughout the offseason. Like I said, all 49ers news as it breaks will be discussed here on the Jack Hammer channel, 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. That's where you can get to the writing over the Inside the Flyers blog for the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. So thank you all very much for taking the time to tune in. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell notification so you don't miss anything as well. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the game, everybody. Take care. We'll be talking to you soon.